Yay! Hey guys! Welcome to another episode of Celi's Hangout, episode 38. This is an awesome time. This is like, I'm bursting with joy. I'm trying not to say so excited because after a year of Celi's Hangout, we're celebrating 1 year. I go back and watch and try to critique and see how I can get better. And my best friend tells me, Celi, stop saying so excited. You say it so much all the time. So I'm overjoyed today to be celebrating. It's so many things to celebrate for tonight's episode. We're celebrating Celi's 1 year anniversary, celebrating Orange is the New Black season 2. No one got any sleep this weekend. And we're also celebrating the Tonys last night. What an incredible night of honoring excellence in theater. I'm just going to keep clapping. It's going to be a night of clapping today. Audra McDonald made history. 6 Tonys. She's like the Michael Jordan of theater. She's getting all the Tonys. So amazing. Kenny Leon for Best Director. It was just a wonderful night. Raisin in the Sun all the way. And special shout outs to Celihangout guests, Jason and Brandon Durden, who are beautiful Broadway. We're calling them the Brothers of Broadway. And they were Celihangout guests, so congratulations to both of you on your Tony. So special little shout-outs, and also a really big shout-out to Celihangout guests, Dion and Dane, who just booked a co-star role for Orange is the New Black for season 3. I just love it. Celi's Hangout is growing. The community is growing. All the artists who have been a part of this journey and this movement are doing some amazing things, and I felt it just fit wonderfully to do my Celi's Hangout 1 year with my gals from Orange is the New Black because they have supported this show since the beginning. I started Celi's Hangout on June 3rd of 2013, just an idea. I decided to just get on this web and didn't know if anyone would really watch or care. And Uzo and Danielle and Vicky believed and cared enough a month after they premiered the show to come on Celi's Hangout. And since then, the show has taken off to be a worldwide phenomenon. So thank you, Orange family. And tonight, I'm so happy to have on the show Catherine and Laura. They play, well, Catherine plays the correctional officer, Wanda Bell, and you'll know Laura as Blanca Flores, a.k.a. Diablo Girl. Hi, ladies.
Hey.
How are you guys feeling, like, after now? Like, you spent probably the past year of your life. Well, first let's talk about the past year of your life, before season 2 even came out. How life has changed drastically.
I think it's more than drastic, more than life. Yeah, I guess that it's like picking up the fruit after, having been outside and oh my God, my English is deserting me right now. Kathy, can you help me, please? When you're gardening and then all of a sudden you see your roses coming out after
I don't garden.
I don't garden either. It's a metaphor. But that's how it feels. It feels like a journey that the actors go through journeys, and they are very long and have ups and downs. And this show, which is not only so successful but so amazing in the terms of what it provides, is the writing, the cast, it's right, it's a staple. It's proving that women can sell, that minorities can carry a show, that women can carry a show. It's not only, I think that makes this even more feel more like a success, that we love the show so much.
Yeah, and also I think also body types for women, that's really been important to see that people don't have to have just that standard network body type, and that women can have all shapes and sizes and all faces and all looks and all ages, and that's been really important to me. That's been probably the most important part of the journey in a way, because it's let me feel that this is not just a journey about looks, but it's a journey about the soul, and it's a journey about acting, and it's a journey about the work, and it's a journey about the story and the people involved in the story. And that's my son singing in the background, but
I love that, Kathy. It's really true. That's what I mean by it's a show that's a staple. It's changing so many things in television, let's call it that, and in the industry. And like I said, including the fact that it's a show basically with a female cast that's carrying it, and that in itself, it's not only a cast, but women behind the scenes, and that is very, very important. So I think this last year proves more successful because this show is so unique like that.
Yeah, and because it's taught, I think it's one of the groundbreaking shows on TV right now that's sort of leading the way in terms of saying what audiences will put up with, and that audiences really crave and want content that has to do with being with real people and with people that look like them, and the people that act like them and behave like them, and people who have real problems and real issues, and there's a lot of imperfection with people on the show. And sometimes when you watch the network channels, those people seem pretty perfect, and it's nice to be reminded that people are just people, and I think that that's so important, and I think audiences are starved for that.
Yeah, I was thinking about journeys, and the acting journey, and what I find so interesting is when you guys first filmed the show in season 1, you guys were like in your own bubble, had no idea that it would become what it is today, and kind of just like regular actors, we book something, we go shoot it, and we go home and try to find the next job. But then it broke, and the whole universe has been like, we call ourselves Orange Gladiators, we're like fighting the good fight. We love Scandal, so Scandal Gladiators, and then we love Orange, so we've become Orange Gladiators. And we were fighting for, oh my gosh, season 2 has to come back. So now, as a journey of an actor, you're in a position where this show, everyone is asking for you guys. They want to know about the show. Like, what is that? Trying to keep this a secret? Your own family and friends asking you what's happening with what character?
People are pretty good. I don't know. People are pretty good about that. They're not. People are like, nobody. Yeah, I think people let you live your own life, And
no, what I mean is hard is because they do ask, can you tell me a little bit? And I'm like, nope. But this person, nope. Okay, don't tell me. It's a funny thing that, wait, can I? No, you know what? Don't tell me. That's usually the line from my friends. And I think it's true about what Kathy says. It's not, people are great about it. The fans, what I can say is the fans of the show are fans of the show. And I think it's because, in part of what Kathy was mentioning, it's so different, and it's presenting realities that they can relate with, or people they can relate to, or a different type of beauty. All of a sudden, there's no definition of beauty. There's all these women who are actually the opposite. Our makeup and hair department needs an award because they, on Lauren Bacallas, is the complete opposite of Lauren Bacallas.
Right. It's really true.
People love that. People love that they have the ability to identify with different type of women, different type of Black women, Latino women, white women. It's just not. It's about the human experience, not about. So that's why I think the audience there's those Orange Gladiators you're talking about, because the writing and the cast is just superb,
Fantastic. What I love about both of you ladies is you guys both come from, it's a piece of home to have both of you guys on the show, because I'm, moved to Los Angeles, but I'm from New York and from the beautiful island of La República Dominicana. And Kathy, is a rarity. You're from like a native New Yorker, born and raised. A lot of actors move to New York. you were raised there. And then, Laura, you were born in La Isla, the Dominican Republic, and came here. So if you guys could just tell me a little bit about what it's like to, you know, for Kathy, grow up in the epicenter of the theater world and make your way through this journey of what made you want to become an actor, how did that happen, and for you, Laura, same thing, coming from another country and making that transition here.
You want to go first, Laura? I don't know. Go first, Laura.
Oh, you go. She said
All right, I'll go first. You know, my family, my family started taking me to the theater because, you know, I grew up in the city, so they started taking me to the theater when I was, like, old enough to sit still. So the theater has always been a huge influence in my life, and I love it. I deeply, deeply, deeply love the theater. I think the theater, though, in New York is, it's in a great place in terms of audiences going, but it's also in a place where, you know, it's hard for an actor to survive the life of the theater. You know, I know so many actors who are brilliant, I mean, brilliant, genius actors, and they, you know, have had to, so many people leave the business. And I think by opening yourself up to TV and film and different mediums, I think it gives you a chance to have a sustainability as an actor, because you really need that, and that's super important. And but I think that the theater is, you know, it's a place where I would have thought Orange is the New Black would have been a play, you know, but now TV is almost eclipsing the role of the theater in terms of bringing very, very avant, forward, guard voices to the forefront of what we know of as what conversations are being had. And so I think that really New York being so open to having TV and film here now, and giving the tax credits and making New York such a safe and open and welcoming haven to the camera has a lot to do with how the structure of the city is changing and art in the city is changing. And it's not just a theater town, it's also becoming a camera town. And that is so cool for all of the artists and the crew and the cast and directors and producers and writers across the board being here. It's great, you know.
And for the record, since you mentioned that Orange could have been a play, I think that proves it, because the fact that there's so many theater actors or actors with theater background in our show. It's right. It was not a star-studded show. It's a show, but it's a show with a lot of actors with journeys. Just because fame doesn't equal, you know, it's not equal to journey necessarily. Fame can come in a minute, you know, but to have a journey as an actor is another story, and there's a lot of that in our show. Actors, a lot of stage experience, and that's a beautiful thing. And you can see it. You can see it in the creation of the characters in this show.
Yeah, yeah, and in the way people work together and seek each other out as they work together.
Community kind of thing.
Really seek relationships between characters and really look for ways to tell their stories that it's not standard TV. It's just not standard TV at all. Yeah. It's so much deeper, so much more interesting. Yeah.
Definitely. And Laura, your journey from your hometown?
You know, it's so funny because I was thinking of that recently. Someone was writing to me who was my roommate years ago, or in 2001 when I came to New York. I came to New York 3 weeks after 3 weeks after 9/11. I'm laughing, but it's not a laughing matter because it was really intense back then, and it was not something that my friends and family were really excited about. They were really nervous. Back then it was really chaotic, right? The world was in a very chaotic state. And I remember my father saying to me, listen, You have a passion for something that you want to do, and New York is probably the safest city in the world after this. Let's keep with our plans. You go do your thing and follow your dreams. And that was my father, who
Yeah,
who,
that's awesome.
who is such an amazing figure in my life, because he comes from having nothing to creating his own company. And for me, that was always an inspiration. And that, I think that's what I came to do here, was create my own, well, I cannot call it company, but I am, right, an actor is its own company. And I think that taking the risk of leaving that island, leaving my family behind, was totally worth it, because when you get to this point, success for me is it's all relative. For me, it's just working, and all these years training to be an actor, working in little theaters where there was maybe 5 people in the audience, but that's what making you, right, making you get there. It's all a part of the whole. So this show for me is not even the culmination. I think there's so much journey ahead, but it's the stepping stone in all those efforts. And in good Spanish, I'm gonna tell you, guayar la yuca, okay? Después de guayar la yuca, okay, then you start picking up the fruit. So that's my journey. I think I'm very grateful for all the struggles, because nowadays I tell a lot of my actor friends, like Kathy says, because I too have so many friends in New York in the theater world, and the way we view success established by society is so absolute, and for me it's so not. And I think there's a beauty in struggling as an actor. There's a beauty in struggling as a human being, because it makes you appreciate where you are later on in life, and that's where we are, right? From 2001 to 2014.
Yeah. I think it also builds you. I think it definitely builds who you are, and it demands that you continually ask yourself, who you are, and what do you stand for, and what are you about, and why are you on this road, and what are you doing, and what is your passion, and what is the journey for? And I think that constantly having to step up to the plate and understand that you have to step up to the plate, it really demands that those questions come out and be answered in order to be successful.
Yeah. But also there's I can tell you, now I thought about it, how important also for me in my journey as an actor, because we all go through the doubts. We all go through the moments where you're like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? This is so hard. I can barely pay rent or whatever, or I pay rent, but not necessarily for my acting. I'm paying rent because I translate or whatever. That was my case. Some cases because I'm a whatever you do. But I think for me also in my journey, what changed is the fact that I decided to stop waiting, and I started to write my own stuff, and I started to view things as a bigger picture.
Yeah.
And I wanted to work with certain actors that Kathy also knows, and I didn't know, but at that point. And then I started writing, and all of a sudden now I know them all. And it wasn't necessarily only because of Orange. I think Orange came as a result of my energy having shifted from waiting to creating. And it's so important. Us women, or me as a woman, as a Latina, I insist, and I keep telling my friends, my community of actors, my community of Latinos, like, sometimes it's not so much about complaining, as you want to view things changed and be a part of the change, So instead of complaining, let's write our own stories, and for me now, Genji is such an inspiration because of that. Genji is the woman that makes things happen. I don't think things were given to her either. And if you're not a writer, produce. If you don't produce, go out and take courses, meet people, mingle. Just stop waiting for things to happen, basically. And that's a part of my journey personally.
Yeah. And I think that's true with auditions too, you know. I think that's really, like, you know, in auditions, like, really take the bull by the horn, you know, really decide what you feel this is about and make that vivid and create a thing, you know, create something there, so that it isn't about waiting to be told how to play the role. It's about creating a place for the role in your heart and letting that come out.
Yeah, and you can see that in the actors that we have in the show. They're so unique to their characters. Also, a shout out for Jim Houston for that amazing casting, because everybody is bringing something to the table in regard to their characters that they're playing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I want to say something mentioning the Tonys, since you mentioned the Tonys before, a little trivia for Orange Gladiators. One of our castmates, right? Do we have a castmate who's in a Broadway show that was nominated?
Oh, Annie.
Annie Golden. That's right. She's in Violet.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a great. So whoever, you know, Orange Gladiators in New York. Yeah, and then we have another castmate whose husband was nominated for a Tony last night.
Who?
And that is Connie Shulman's husband.
Oh my gosh,
yeah, Reed Birney, who's an amazing stage actor.
Yeah, he's an amazing actor. Amazing actor.
There you go, a little trivia for Orange Gladiators.
Orange Gladiators, awesome. I love it. You know, and I was thinking too. I think what you said. There's so much more to go on the journey, and what I found interesting about the journey, even of Celi's Hangout, and interviewing people, and interviewing all kinds of people and artists. Like you don't have to be on a hit show to be on Celi's Hangout. And I talk to colleagues, and I'm like, you guys should come on the show, and they're like, oh, I don't think I'm on the right level yet to be on your show. And even just, you know, I'm a spiritual person. I believe, you know, there's prophetic word in what you say out loud, and I try to practice that. You know, I have my own struggles and doubts too, and when I hear my own colleagues think that they're not big enough to be on my show because, oh, the cast of Orange has been on my show, or Dembe from NBC's Blacklist has been on my show. You know, it's just like, it's about all the colors, all of our journeys, and everyone's seeing that. And the only reason why it matters for it to be people on both sides of the journey to be on the show, for people to hear the story.
The journey never ends.
It never ends. And I tell people, it's like, just because the reason why I like having people who are on hit shows on Celi's Hangout is because I want people to see that although they're on a hit show, the journey's still happening. The doubt is still happening. I've talked to people on Orange who are good friends of mine who will be like, man, I did this scene today, and I was asking myself, man, was it good? You know, and you are good. You're good enough because you got cast, but you still every day are working at being, you know, wanting to make sure you're just as good or better than the last episode, or whatever the case may be. So I think it's important for all of us to know that battle, it's like a marathon. You know, you're running that 26 miles. It's not a sprint. And there are going to be times during that marathon where you're like, oh, I'm not going to make it, you know. And remembering that that's going to happen, and that's okay, but keeping the right people around you that are going to give you that water bottle. They're going to be cheering on the sidelines and saying, you trained for this marathon, and you were born to do this.
Finish that marathon, and there'll be another. So you finish that one, you go rest, but there'll be another to run. So,
yeah, I think that's true. But I think also that, you know, it's not about the end. It's about the traveling. It is about the traveling, because there is no end, and there's no, you know, you could be up today and down tomorrow, and there is. It's not one of those careers. It's not like you're a CEO and you're not an executive. You're not. It's not. You do this and you do this and you do this and you do this, and then you get there, and that's where you are. It's so sine curvy. It's so up and down that it's really, I think, important too for actors, for people in this business to understand that it's got to be about you, and it's got to be about what's going on with you. It can't be about the fact that you're famous for 10 minutes, or that you are recognized somewhere, or that now you have some ducats. There's got to be a healthier plateau in there.
Yeah.
That stuff is really, it can go away as fast as it came.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Well, but what I love about the roller coaster ride that many of you guys are on, that regardless of what everyone has remained the beautiful human beings that they are. Like a special shout out to my Gap sister Uzo, who plays Crazy Eyes. I love her to death. Like I met her because I worked at the Public Theater in New York, and she's a brilliant stage actress. So getting to see her live on stage gave me life. And she was so supportive to come on Celi's Hangout and has been part of the journey. And although her life is madness now, and she's all over the world and flying to every different interview all over the place, she still took the time to text me and congratulate me on 1 year, and sorry that she couldn't come on the Hangout. And that means everything. It's one of those things where it's like, when you see people who are deserving, not just of talent, but of character and of heart. And that goes across the board for all the women of Orange that I personally know. Laura and Selenis and Diane and Jackie. I mean, all beautiful people who are talented and have hearts of gold. So I just want to congratulate you guys for just being awesome. Just awesome.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing cast. It really is, and it's very genuine, I think. We mentioned Connie and Yael and Lynn Tucci and Lori and, oh my God, Tamara. Everybody is just as humble and genuine as they seem. And I think it has to do with being comfortable in your own skin and knowing that this is part of a journey as well. It's my favorite word, journey, because I say it so much.
Yeah, but also it feels too like there's some dedication to the story. Like the story, Orange is the New Black story, is so real. It's so not fakey. It's so not plastic. It's so not put on. It's so not created. It started as a nonfiction piece, and I think that Piper's sort of inspiration of her life journey, of what that meant to go through what she went through, it really permeates the atmosphere at Orange, and I think people take it very seriously that being incarcerated for a lot of people is not necessarily the way to go, and that this is creating a dialogue about prison and about the way we warehouse souls. Yeah. And we incarcerate way too many people, and I don't know the exact numbers, but they're huge, and all of those people are just some of those people. I mean, there's got to be people in there that really could turn their lives around in a very positive way. And and I think that what this show is really doing is raising a dialogue, raising a consciousness about second chances, and about, hey, meet these people. These are good people. These are people that you would...
made a mistake that anybody could have made, because actually, sorry to interrupt you, but it's basically about what you're saying, right? Because we were with Piper just a few days ago at an event for the Women Prison Association, and they were discussing precisely about what Kathy's saying, the overpopulation of prisoners women that we sent to prison for minor offenses. That could be fixed. And I'm a great advocate of education, which our governments don't seem to care about. Seems everything is easier to deal with a prison system, but the prison system is just oppressing more, right? and we are bringing out, whenever they come out, that what comes out is torn souls that could have not been torn in the first place if they were given a chance before going into something like that.
Yeah.
Or for less time, for things that we know are technicalities. Because let's not talk about the war on drugs, because that's too political, but damn it, you know? Can I just say damn it? Sometimes the little people are the one paying the consequences for those big sharks, and it's wrong.
It's so interesting. It's so interesting too, because some of the cast came out to LA for Paley Fest, and Boo made a comment. And she's very radical. Boo will tell it how it is, and Boo made a comment to everyone in the audience, like, we're all one bad decision away from being incarcerated. And and people kind of clapped. Everyone didn't clap, and it's one of those things that people were uncomfortable, but it's such a real conversation. And Kathy, the show begins one of the, there's so many important conversations to be had, but this has to be on the table. I have several family members who have been incarcerated, or Laura, in our case, we know, deported to our countries, and there's this whole psyche that happens for people who are incarcerated, and I think it's so important too, this conversation about women, all the issues that women in prisons go through, the sexism, the violations, all these things that this show brings up, basic human rights, like even the very beginning of season 2, for those who haven't seen it, spoiler alert, but just Piper being so confused and dazed about where she is, and no one telling her where she's going. That human right, it was stripped from her, and she should know, prison, inmate or not, where she's being taken to. That it's just those little things that people don't think about and don't necessarily care about, because they're out in the world living their freedom. And here are these people who, who cares about them? They did the crime, they got to do the time, not knowing that you could be in that position so fast. You don't know what journey your life's going to take.
Yeah, you can be in for a crime that doesn't necessarily, that have been giving a lot more time than the crime demanded, or like I said, it could be, Piper was discussing that at the WPA event the other day. It could be solved in so many other ways that does not include prison necessarily. It could be even another type of. There's so much regarding education that needs to be, and the important to mention, since Kathy brought it up, also is the fact that when they send a woman to prison, remember, you're giving a sentence to a family.
Yeah.
You're dividing a family that's going into the foster system. And then the consequences for those children. And yes, I don't want to say everybody, there's crimes that needs to be about situations where there's not even a judgment as to how we're sending these people and for how long, or as to why, So that's another thing where the show is immensely important, I think.
Yeah.
I do have a question for you guys. I think I already know the answer, but I think it's important for people to know this. You guys are now on a certain platform as artists, and what you do with that platform, every artist is specifically different. But you see so much on social media. You guys attend the WPA events, you volunteer, you do all this stuff. Now, this wasn't in your contract with Netflix or with Orange that you had to do this stuff. So, how important is it for you guys now being a part of this show to use this platform to cultivate change in the community?
It's a dream. To be able to affect change for people, for your fellow humankind, is a dream that all of us would wish for, because it's saying that there is a positive, hopeful future. That it's optimism about the fact that change can exist, and that we don't have to be in this darkened, middle-aged way of, you did something bad, now this is the way we serve you know, you, and this is what you have to do. The problem with the prison system is that it's this self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, it's once somebody goes to prison, they never get out of the system. They never really are able to get a good job. They're never really able to get their family back. Their kids end up going to prison. Their grandparents have been in prison. It's this vicious cycle, and unless you can get out of the vicious cycle and break that cycle, you cannot be a part of society that's good for you or good for society. And society has to take a bigger picture look at this situation and understand that, you know, anybody, Hillary Clinton could have made a mistake, and that would have set her in the wrong way. So many people have made vastly, vastly terrible mistakes, but have never gone to prison. And prison is really, in a lot of ways, it's blue-collar crime, and you're really warehousing people off the street, and it's not okay. And what Laura was saying about education as opposed to prison and community service, and you know, if you pass different programs, there's so many ways to approach it rather than locking somebody in a box. You know, that's my son. But, you know, I just don't think the box approach works. It's expensive for society, and it's not happening, you know.
Yeah. I think my mom, it's very interesting. My mom came to this country in her 30s and didn't learn English till she was 40. And for the official day of the 1-year anniversary, a couple of Celihangout guests, we came together to pay tribute to Maya Angelou, and we did a Still I Rise poem. And I'm inspired by Maya in all kinds of ways for what she contributed to the world, but specifically with my mom, because my mom is a Latina woman who didn't know the language, didn't know this country, but even she was moved by Maya Angelou, and the fact that Maya could touch my mom. And my mom would always give me advice in her accent, when you know better, you do better. And so, you know, I think about things like that, you know, when you don't know anything else besides your generational curse of your family of going to prison, or your 4-block radius of where you are, Kathy, it just speaks volumes to the real work that needs to be done in our communities before we just ship people off and just write them off as if we're not evolving creatures, as if that's it, people cannot change, they cannot grow, that's it, they're already bad people, and we speak badness. We continually speak all, you know, the words are so powerful. No, she's bad. He's a bad kid. You know, my mom always taught me, don't ever tell a kid that they're bad, because they will become that. They will believe that about themselves.
Yeah.
And it starts at the home.
It's another beauty about the show. You know, I'm such a fan of this show because of the layers that it presents. Because when you see the characters, you don't see a one-dimensional individual. You see so many layers, and the fact that you're presenting minorities in prison seems like a stereotype, but all of a sudden you see that's a reality. Now, what's behind that? And the beauty of the layers that all these characters present, both the CEOs and the and then who is more of a criminal in that prison than Figueroa? You know, the woman running is the one who belongs in that prison more than all of the prisoners that she's, you know, that are there. Or there are people in power, like Pablo Schreiber's character, who I love, by the way, is an amazing actor, an amazing character, but he is a piece of shit. Can I say that here?
Yes.
But technically, you know, talking about what you're saying, if you're not giving someone a chance, we have people like Piper herself, but in our community, Piñeiro or Lemon Anderson, who you know went to prison and came out and created this amazing work as playwrights and people in the theater, and showed you how their experiences shaped them and were able to get out of the cycle that Kathy talks about. But that's because they were exposed to arts. They were exposed to something else. And in fact, it proves that can change a person. What can change a person more than education and being exposed to the arts? How someone giving you a book and show you, giving you an opportunity. But some people, like, they never get that because the system doesn't care. Doesn't care about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, arts education. Instead of cutting it off, we need to be funding more money into arts education. I think about Charles Dutton, who, the younger generation don't know him very well, but he went from jail to Yale and started his own theater troupe in jail, and then was able to get a full scholarship to Yale. And stories like that, I mean, you just hear countless stories of young people and even older people, once they've been exposed to the arts, how using the artistic platform.
Sports, there's more of those elements from society that can be more funded than the prison system, I think.
Yeah. But the prison system takes a lot of money. It's very, very expensive to warehouse all of these people. It's cost a lot of money to do that. And so it's almost like we have this this huge budget that's going toward the prison system, and now that's where jobs are, and it's this overinflated monster that has to be fed. And like in Pennsylvania, that's a for-profit prison system. And there were some landmark cases a few years ago where judges in Pennsylvania were basically creating the criminal act of incarcerating people for long periods of time because they were getting kickbacks from the prison system to keep their prisons full. And in this is one of the downsides of turning the prison system into a commercial entity is that then you get graft. Then you get people who are keeping prisoners in there because that's for every 3 prisoners you create 1 job. And if you want a state where you have low unemployment, it's good to have prisoners. If you are the prison state of all the states, if that's one of your industries, the prison system has become an industry, and it's an industry that needs to be looked at. And some really not great things are happening with prosecutors and with the deals being made and with people across the board. There's some really wonderful shows on TV, that are like a Dateline kind of a situation that are looking at some of the stories of individual prisoners and how they have been wronged. And we're taking a generalized view towards something that should be so much more specific per person, and it's hurting society. It's not cost effective for society to be this incredibly Machiavel about you're good and you're bad and you're moving forward and you go in this box here. It's just not making sense.
Oh my goodness. It's one of those things where, like, we can be on a Hangout for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours talking about such a layer upon layer conversation. And I'm so grateful and thankful to both of you who are not just actors, but I call them artivists, people who are really about helping to cultivate changing the world. And like I said before, when I even asked the question, that I knew the answer. It's not in your contract to do this, but you've used this platform to now be able to have these kinds of conversations with people and go speak to women in prisons. It's a beautiful thing to watch you ladies do this. But as always, Celi's Hangout is coming to a wrap soon. I just wanted to ask you guys, what other stuff are you guys working on? What do you have coming up? What do you want to share with the world? And how can folks still follow you, to stay in touch with your career and what's happening? It's kind of already out. Season 3 already started filming, which is so exciting.
I'm actually, you're going to see me in a guest starring role in Law and Order. So, yeah. episode 1 of season 16, talking about success. Season 16 of Law and Order SVU, and that was amazing working with that group of people. Mariska Hargitay is like an iconic, right? I mean, the whole SVU is an iconic landmark of New York. I think aside from that, well, my short film Hallelujah is showing at the Dominican Film Festival in New York. Yeah. So my Dominican people in the Heights, please check that out. There's actually like over 60 films from Dominican Republic being shown in this festival. That's insane. And that's it. I'm writing a new project that I'm shooting in Santo Domingo in Espanol. So to connect with my roots, going back to my island and connecting there. And that's it for now. Writing 2 scripts actually. So that's writing. Like I said, never ends.
And make sure you guys follow Laura on Twitter. Her Twitter handle is at the bottom of her screen, LG_Laura Gomez. So make sure you follow her.
Awesome.
And Kathy, what do you have going on?
You know, I'm going to do a short film in about a couple of weeks that's really, really beautiful, really an incredibly written film, incredible role, and I'm very excited. I love independent film. I love to work with independent filmmakers. I love new voices. I love new play development, and I do a lot of that. I do a ton of that. I think in the last couple of months that Orange has been down from shooting, I think I've done literally 30 new play readings and 3 or 4 workshops of new plays. So that's what I love also. And, you know, when I'm on my deathbed, I hope that new play development is something that I have sincerely contributed to, and I really believe in it. And not just young writers, but all writers across the board. Just new material, that's really my thing, and I love independent film, and you know that's where I really want to live. And I'm also a mom, and my son is eating his 2nd ice cream right now, so
it's the best job in the world and the hardest job in the world.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yay! Well, and make sure you guys follow Kathy too. Her Twitter handle is at the bottom of hers, CATECURTIN. So make sure you follow her, and yeah, because their journeys are.
Season 3.
Season 3 is shooting now.
There's season 2 out on Netflix starting, you know, so I have to finish watching tonight.
Right, if you're not part of everyone else, I literally tweeted this casting director that I had met that loves Orange. So I tweeted her like 2 days, I tweeted her like earlier, a couple hours ago. I said, so how was your weekend? How much Orange did you watch? And she was like, I need an intervention the whole season. So many of my friends literally got no sleep this weekend. So make sure you join the movement. If you haven't seen it yet, Orange is the New Black on Netflix. Watch season 1 and 2, and then you'll be mad at yourselves because you'll have to wait for season 3 to come out. Make sure you follow Celi Hangout. Subscribe to the YouTube page at Celi Hangout. We'll continue in year 2 to give you great programming, inspiring you, and motivating you, and empowering you as artists to continue on this journey, because it is a trying one. It can be difficult at times, but we're all in this together. It takes a village. So I'm thankful for the village of artists who have been a part of this movement for this past year. I love you guys. Thank you, Laura and Kathy. I love you guys too. Continue to keep me informed of what you're doing so I can tweet and tell the whole world about it. I'm so proud of you guys. And we'll see you guys next week.
Love it.